Welcome, everybody. You've reached the podcast, Different Thinking for Different Times. And I'm the host. Believe it or not, yes, you're looking at the host. I've been doing this for 7 years. It's a labor of love. And the last 3 or 4 years, I've had an amazing array of guests. And today's guest, you're going to love today's guest because he's a big thinker. He's a broad thinker. He's not limited to the small-minded thinker, what I call, you all know I call this the little fucker in my head. I suggest we all name it. And I have it too, right? I haven't found the way, I tell everybody. And if I ever tell you I found the way to reprogram the mind, for sure, run away. But check with me in a few weeks, at least if you're a friend, and see if I've pulled my head out of a very dark place. So Mike's got an interesting story. He's written some books, and he's a leader. And today we're going to talk about where we align on this book, You Missed God on the Way to the Mosque, the Temple, or the Church, How to See God Everywhere. And we're not preaching anything, and we're not trying to convince anybody of anything or change your ideas or make faith wrong. What we're doing is sharing our own experience of how we interpret events that happen in life. And the brain likes to say they're happening to us. And my argument, and when I met Mike and we got into conversations, we agreed it's happening for us. There's no place that God could be absent, or we wouldn't be floating here. I'll show you the little ball that I have here. We wouldn't be floating on this little marble. This is a marble, to remind me, painted with the globe on it. Let me see if I can find the United States of America. Here we go. Here's the United States. Let's see. Did I get that right? Yeah, here it is. It's here, right? And talk about how tiny we are, that painted on a marble. From the right perspective in life, it's always good to fly up and rise above it, because looking down, our problems, number one, aren't so big, but two, we can often find the gift. And that's where God resides, in the now. Now, in my experience, being here 1 minute and being one with everything and nothing the next, the infinite, there was no past or future. There was only the now. And that's where 23 and a half years ago, I came to the lesson that it was for me. 1 second fine, the next second needing an ambulance, and 5 days later, flatlining in intensive care. It was a great gift. Somehow I was grateful waiting for the ambulance. That surprised me later on as I looked back. But in the moment, I had surrendered to the now. And that's where God resides, which means we separate ourselves. So without further ado, I'd like you to meet Mike Mirarchi.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on. Yep.
Pleasure to have you. So give us a little background about your life, your discovery, where you were at one time, and how you came to some of these other thoughts.
Sure.
That changed your perspective on life.
Yeah. So like you, Steve, I grew up Catholic. And I consider myself to be a bingo rat. My parents, every Monday they'd play bingo and I'd tag along and so, and then, I was about 10 or so and I went to confession, right? Bless me, Father, 5 sins. It's been whatever since my last confession. And when you're 10, you don't really have the real good concept of what sin is or anything like that. I didn't have really much of an idea. So I'm thinking of things, what am I going to say? So anyway, I go in and I say, well, I fought with my brothers. I talk back to my parents, And so the priest said, say 10 Hail Marys, 10 Our Fathers, and 10 Rosary. And I go, okay. So then I go to the pew and I'm saying the prayers and I'm counting them out. And then a thought occurred to me. What happens if I miss one? What happens if I only say 9?
And you're going to hell, my son.
And so that was the first thing, right? So then I was about probably 17 or 18, and my buddy and I used to go golfing. And so we're out on the golf course the one day, and it was gorgeous. I mean, absolutely, you couldn't even dial up a better day, right? And I'm
Yep.
standing on the top of the hill, and I'm looking out over the golf course, and I say, it doesn't get any better than this. And the moment I said that, there was an emptiness that I felt. Couldn't explain it. And so then
Mm.
we go on. And so then 21 or so, 22, sitting in my living room with my best friend, same guy, and watching the Super Bowl. We got lobsters, and we're sitting there, and I said, it doesn't get any better than this. And the same thing happened. Okay. So then met my wife, was going to the Catholic Church. My wife was a Lutheran. And so she grew up in Scranton area. I was from Quakertown originally. So I was going to
Mm-hmm.
church at my church. It wasn't my home church. It was,
Mm-hmm.
she was going to her home church, and she
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get married in her church.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've no problem for me. Right. So I go back, and the priest that was at our parish was old. I mean, he was in his 80s. Right. So after mass, I go to the priest and I said, hey, I'm getting married. He's like, well, congratulations. And I said, my wife's Lutheran. Okay. And she wants to get married in her church. I absolutely forbid it. I forbid it. And I said, well, I'm not asking you. I'm just letting you know that that's, this is what's going to happen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that then led me to start going to church with my wife. And so that was Lutheranism, which is very close to Catholicism. And they have a
Mm-hmm.
couple of different ideas. It's maybe
Mm-hmm.
not as religious, a little bit less, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's
Mm-hmm.
still an element of religion, obviously, to it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're more of the mindset of, hey, you accept God, and then you just sit on the couch and, grace by faith, and that's it. You're done,
Mm-hmm.
And I've had interesting discussions with priests or pastors about that subject, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, so I joined. So I attend a church, and then my wife gets pregnant with my daughter, and then I decide I want to join because I want to go and we want to, kind of worship together, be together.
Sure. Yeah.
So, in my 20s, and I go through all the instruction, and I become a member. Walking out of the church, the head of the congregation says, hey, would you mind being an elder? Well, an elder in a church is someone who, it's a serious position, right?
Yeah.
And in my 20s, I was in no position to be able to do that job. But now I look back at it now and I think how ridiculous it was, right? That I was going to be in this position. But what do I know? I was like, yeah, sure. No problem.
I would have said, wait, did I miss something? My hair turned gray?
Yeah. It's crazy. So then I'm end up not only doing that, I become the vice president. Well, no, I wasn't yet. But so then the president up and dies on us, and suddenly, like, gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a matter of fact, my son is named after him, and that's an interesting story too. We
Wow.
actually named him John, and then that night the person died. The president was named Dave, and so we went back the next day and said, "Hey, we'd like to change the name, David's name, to David." And they said,
Wow.
"The paperwork's on the doctor's desk. Usually, it's gone by now. If it's there, we can change it. If not." So they go, and the paperwork was there.
Yeah.
And so we were able to change his name, and now he's
Yeah.
David. I can't imagine him being anything else. But anyway, so what happens is the president up and dies. The new president was not fully, he didn't have his full faculties. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the
Mm-hmm.
vice president.
Mm-hmm.
And then a rift breaks out and it just gets bad. It gets so bad. Like, it's just really challenging. I'm in
Mm-hmm.
no position to be able to handle it because I don't have the experience. And my father-in-law, who was one of the founding members of church, like, he was gone, like, he passed. So I didn't even have him to fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just broke up, and we ended up leaving that church and going to a different Lutheran church and stayed there for a while. And then I got into my coaching business.
Mhm.
Okay. That would have been
Mhm.
about 2003. And
Mhm.
it's happened right around the same time. And that was a year. And we talked about that. And, the
Mhm.
coaching business it was a challenge. I mean, I was in it for a year. Um,
Mhm.
I opened up a lot of clients, but I turned clients,
Mhm.
it's a challenging business. And back then coaching was a new concept. So we were
Sure.
kind of in front of the game there.
Mhm.
But anyway, after a year, my old company called me back, and by miracle, seriously, it's a miracle. I sold the business and was able to go back to my old company. In the meantime, then I started to get, um, uh, I guess, thoughts about a program. Well, when I was still back at the old church, I did a program, um, and we used to go every year to a youth group gathering. It was always on President's Day. And I actually developed one of the program, Discovering Your Gifts. That was the name of the program. Okay.
Love it.
And the whole program, and I did everything. Like I didn't get much help at all. Like pretty much all this came to me, and I put this program together. I'd never done anything like that before.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we did a talent show and all this stuff. And it really ended up being pretty good. As a matter of fact, I believe I still have that somewhere. I still
Mhm.
have all the materials and everything saved.
Mhm.
So then when I got out of coaching, the coaching, what that did, and that's the thing, nothing's wasted. Everything has a purpose and a reason. And what that did is it gave me a lot of information and materials that I still use to this day. And so what came to me was, um, it was, and I don't think I've ever shown you the visual on it, but it's an arrow pointing up, and
Mhm.
then it's a line that curves through it, and it
Mhm.
intersects. Okay.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
the title of my training was Aligning with God's Will. And
Mm.
so if the arrow is God's will, so he has a purpose for your life, he has an arrow that he knows exactly where you want to go, but we meander along that line. And then we have moments of truth. Every once in a while, we intersect the line. And
Mhm.
then we either go forward or we go back off the path. And then he gives us GPS and brings us back, and
Mhm.
so we intersect this line. And then as we walk with him, then the line gets smaller, right?
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
intersections get more frequent. And, because you're
Mhm.
never going to walk it straight.
Not
So
as human beings, right?
yeah,
Right.
exactly. So
Right.
I put that training on for probably 5 years, and I was doing full day workshops and had
Mhm.
all the slides. It was powerful. It was really
Mhm.
good.
Mhm.
So then the Senate that we belonged to was doing this Ignite and Light or something type of program, and they were
Mhm.
looking at my program as potential part of that. Okay,
Mhm.
so I did it for a bunch of pastors,
Mhm.
and so as I'm doing the program, one of the pastors, as I'm talking about some of the concepts, which is one is be do have.
Mhm.
Be do have is if I can be a good Christian, Muslim, this is what you're talking about. If I can be a
Yeah.
good one and do the things prescribed by the religion, then I'll have something in
Mhm.
heaven, nirvana,
Mhm.
versus a relationship, which is because I already have God and Jesus in my heart, then I
Mhm.
do good works and I'm the light of the world. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Religion or relationship. So I'm
Mhm.
giving that concept, and the pastor goes, works righteousness. And I go, wait a minute. I said, so you mean you have God in your life and then what? You just sit back on the couch and you don't do anything? Like that's against, if you if you read James in the Bible, you'll learn pretty quickly that it's faith and it's works together.
Mhm.
But it's the order of which
Mhm.
you're not doing things to gain something. It's because you already have, you're doing, right?
Right. Right.
And so after that, I did not do it anymore. Like I didn't do the training. That was kind of the end of it. And I really
Mm.
haven't put a workshop on since, even though I
Mm.
have all that material.
Mm.
So then that would have taken me to about 2012.
Mhm.
But my walk continued. And, it was really interesting. And so we ended up leaving the church. And
Mhm.
I haven't gone to church. I mean, there's one time that I went back for about 6 months, and I'll tell you that story.
Mhm.
But we didn't go to church. haven't gone. And so it's like, well, if you don't go to church, how could you be close to God? Well, I've gotten closer since I haven't gone to church than when I was at church, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
but there was a time during that, it was right around 15 or so, that I was urged to go back. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I go back, and I hadn't been in this church, and now all of a sudden I'm going back to the original church. Okay. Well, the
Mm-hmm.
pastor who was there had cancer, and he was like, it was bad. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't do confirmation. So they said, hey, would you be willing to do confirmation with the kids?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, be amazing. I would love to do that. And so I
Mm-hmm.
did confirmation, which was one of the most unbelievable experiences, not just
Mm-hmm.
for me, but for the kids. If you talk to the kids still, like we
Mm-hmm.
just had an incredible time. And it was really the start of just thinking differently about, like, we were talking about things like when Christ died and the curtain was split in two, and we were talking about the curtain and how thick it was and how amazing that was. And then the holies of holies is opened, and you're able to have now a direct relationship with God. That's what we have. We
Mm-hmm.
don't need an intermediary. We don't need other people. He's in us, like
Mm-hmm.
so, so that was incredible. And then after that, gone back out.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's been those types of scenarios that have taken place where, you just, you're just continuing to walk and have experiences. It's experiential, right? When you're walking
Yeah.
together, you just have these experiences, and he trains you like it's like a coaching thing, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um, and I'll give you a quick one. One time I got this gift
Sure.
card. You ever get a gift card and you don't know what to do with it? It
Mm-hmm.
was like to
Sure.
Dick's Sporting Goods. And I'm thinking to myself, it's $100 gift card. I don't know. Like, what am I going to do with this gift card? So then the thought comes to my mind, well, we had this presentation, and the presentation was about homeless people in Philadelphia. And there's this organization that works with homeless people. And the number one thing that homeless people don't have is socks.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, okay, go to Dick's and get $100 worth of socks. I'm like, all right. So I go to Dick's and I pick up the socks and I check out, and I got $95 worth of socks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I walk out the store and I get my change, and I'm feeling all good. And then I'm driving out of the parking lot, and I hear, you need to go back in and buy $5 more worth of socks. And I'm like, really? So I turned around, went back in the store, $5 more, you know, but that's the type of thing that it's like training.
Well,
It's no
that's the
different.
small, still voice.
That's right.
My guess is it didn't enter your head with 76 trombones and a marching band.
Oh,
It was just a quiet little urging, hey, turn around and go get that other $5.
it's just
Yeah.
crazy. So
Yeah.
those are the types of, and I've had many of those experiences where, he just puts you in, call them divine appointments, right? He just
Yeah.
puts you in these places where you're meeting people, and just you have these incredible things, but you kind of have to tune into it. It's like a radio station.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, you know how we turn the radio station off? We have this idea that we have to earn
right,
God's love.
right,
We have to, it's transactional. If I do this, then God will do that. If I do this, then this will happen. And the key is that shift, that everything that reaches you was meant for you.
yeah,
That this acorn brain will define it as bad, but who knows that it. And what happens is we immediately shut off the idea that God could be part of anything that's negative in our lives. But what I've discovered is that's the wake-up call to find the gift. That
yeah,
why is this occurring? And instead of staying in the why too long, you start to ask what? What in this is a gift? What
yeah,
in this am I supposed to learn? What in this experience is going to help me grow? And then how do I change because of that experience? That what was the lesson in the experience? And that's because it's easier to do when you say, okay, God, I know this is for me.
yeah. Sometimes you don't know. Like I had a story where when I was still back in the church, we were doing visits to the elderly people. I wasn't doing them, but other people were. But there was this one lady, she was a former pastor's wife who was in a
Mhm.
nursing home.
Mhm.
And for some reason, I'm like, I'm going to go see her. Okay. This is the
Mhm.
only one and only visit that I've ever done.
Mhm.
Okay. So I
Mhm.
go in and, as especially as a salesperson, you get to read the situation pretty quickly. You
Mhm.
walk in and you could pretty much read a room pretty quick,
Mhm.
or read
Sure.
somebody and
Mhm.
understand what's going on. Right.
Yeah.
So I walk into the room and, the person was there and she was there and her two kids were there. And it was
Mhm.
strange. It was very weird, right? Like it was like, what are you doing here? Okay. But I didn't pick up on it. I'm stupid. So I'm staying there and talking to her, and it's getting so bad that the one of the kids got a phone call, basically like, "Have you told her yet?" It was something like that. Okay. So finally, they're getting really upset. So I finally leave. Okay. It wasn't till years later that I found out what was going on. The kids were there to tell her that they were going to put her in a home.
Oh,
She's there praying that that doesn't happen. And who walks in the door?
you.
That's amazing, right?
Yeah.
And when the person who told me that told me the story, because I told her about it, like I told her how like I felt so bad because I felt terrible. Because
Mhm.
after I left, I realized what was going on. Like it kind of hit
Mhm.
me. Like, man, how could I be so stupid to stand there while all this was going on? And I knew that that was weird, that wasn't,
Mhm.
but
You sense the
that's
energy.
that's how it goes. That's how it goes. And so that's kind of that's sometimes how it works. Sometimes you'll say something or do something, you don't even realize why. You're like, why did I just
Mhm.
say that? Like that doesn't even,
Mhm.
but it's powerful for the other person. The
Yeah.
other person that you're talking to needed to hear that particular thing. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole
So
point of this is not making faith wrong or going to church wrong, because church is, as I talk about in the book, I'm going to just put it up there again, right? You missed God on the way to the mosque, the temple, to the church, how to see God everywhere. What I talk about in the book is faith is wonderful. And the
yes.
communities that are
Hmm.
part of going to church are wonderful. And
Yeah.
how many communities are feeding the hungry, have
Yes.
food banks, have pantries, have breakfasts for people, have outreach for people that are
Yes.
suffering in so many forms. And I've had many friends and others in their churches go as missionaries to help other communities in other countries have clean water, sanitation, medical supplies. Look at, we have the doctors of Mercy and other doctors that go to help other countries where kids are born with disabilities and other challenges, and they help them, right, for free.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful, because that's the work. If God is everywhere, then we shouldn't turn a blind eye to the challenges that people have. But we don't need to wait for somebody to organize a drive, right?
Yeah.
Find things. What I like to suggest always is, let's do good. Because the only thing in my life review that flashed before me was the good I had done, the lives I had touched. And,
Yeah.
it's fascinating because I didn't realize it, how many lives I had touched. I was
Sure.
in a period of time beating myself up for all kinds of past and wanting things in the future that weren't showing up quick enough. And then God said, here, I'm going to show you something, right? 1 second doing a seminar, and the next second I need an ambulance. And 5 days later, I'm flatlined with two friends at the end of my bed. And I'm 1 second with them, and the next second I'm one with everything and nothing. And the only thing mentioned was the good I had done to wake me up that we're all touching lives and we don't realize it. When we help someone move, when we throw a few bucks to someone who needs help at the supermarket, or pay for an order, or buy someone tires, or
Yeah.
um, give $5 to the guy who's next to a red light and he's got a sign. And instead of listening to the voice that says, why don't you go get a job? You just shut up quietly listen to the message, because I get it often. Give the guys some money, and I forget about what they're going to do with it. That's their life and their choice.
Right.
And how many times now going and see clients on highways and stop on a rest area, and someone invariably knocks on my window. Hi. Hi, how can I help you? Oh, I need a tank of gas. And they start to tell me the debit card was stolen or something. And I say, I don't need the story. Let's go. Let me go get you the gas.
Yeah.
Or let's go get you what you need. And people are amazed by that, because that's where God is. I look at it today as that's God knocking on my window.
Sure. It could be.
And it could be, right? Because God is everywhere. So then, or it could be God watching, and that's the test.
Yeah.
Am I going to do what this little acorn brain, I call it the small-minded thinker, is it going to bring that out to the forefront and say, bug off?
Yeah. I think you make a really good point, which is there's nothing wrong with church at all. It's great. There's nothing wrong with it.
No,
It's
not making faith wrong.
No. What it is it's your view of it. It's the religious part of it. It's a religion or relationship. It's one or the other. And I'll just tell you a quick story.
Sure.
You know how, like, once in a while, like, I love to do deep dives. Like, I love to just dig into stuff deep.
Yeah.
And
we might be similar in that regard.
Yeah, I love to do that. And I was looking into the Ark of the Covenant and learning all about it. It's an incredible, if you don't know what it is, it was built by Moses, directed by God. And it was what it is. It's the mercy seat. It's where God
People
resided.
are still looking for it.
Well, I'm going to tell you about that.
Sure.
And in the tabernacle is where the Holy of Holies, and when Jesus died on the cross and the earthquake happened and the curtain ripped, that's what was exposed, the Ark of the Covenant, which was the Holy of Holies where God resided. That's where he sat. Okay. So I'm digging into this thing deep, and I'm like, why? I'm trying to understand it. So I'm going to relate back to the stories of when I played golf and when I also had the lobster with the Super Bowl.
Right.
The reason why I had the feelings that I had was that I had a hole, right? I had a void. And that's what happened. That was the feeling. And the void is the Ark of the Covenant. That's the shape. That's the reason why you're not finding it, because it's in your heart. And that's where God resides. He sits there in your heart on the space. That's the shape of the Ark of the Covenant. It's not,
the hardest
it's not,
thing for people.
Hold on one sec. It's not the shape of a car. It's not the shape of a house. It's not the shape of money. It's not the shape of anything other than the seat where he resides. And that will be the only thing that fills it.
Yeah. Well, and where the brain says God doesn't reside in the guy that just pissed me off, pardon my French, or made me mad, or called me wrong, or commented on negatively on my work or my posts, or is blowing his horn and giving me the number one sign, and it won't be that finger, on the highway. How could that be a gift? How could that be God? Well, it could be an invitation to look into your own heart. Do you have patience? Do you just let the guy in? When I first moved to Brooklyn, it was like everyone here was fighting to get a quarter of an inch. And they wouldn't let people in. Even if it meant damaging their car, they wouldn't let people in. And I originally found myself getting enrolled in that. Well, nobody lets anybody in. All right, because they're going to be mad at me if I let somebody in. And then I realized, where else am I not willing to give an inch?
Yeah.
That it wasn't just in traffic, that I was doing that in other places. And when I started backing off and letting people in, I didn't care that somebody blew the horn because they got mad. I'm letting people in. What I realized is it taught me to create space in my life to let others in that disagreed with me or crowded in on me or crept alongside and wanted to, cut in front of me. I wanted to question that thinking and realized that the people that bother me the most were the greatest gifts. And the events that bothered me the most were the greatest gift. And then came the whack with the 2x4.
Yeah. If you notice, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No. And the heart, the Ark of the Covenant is not hidden when we realize it's in us.
Right. Exactly. We found it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I love the story.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a process. Everything that we experience like that, like the thing we're letting people in, right? Until you figure it out, it's going to keep happening to you. It's GPS. And then once you resolve it, once you figure it out, then it's good. Like you don't really experience
but what's your definition of GPS?
God positioning system.
Yeah.
And that's right. And that's what it'll do. It'll keep bringing it back to you until you learn to deal with it. I tell a story about, I was flying to Europe, and if you've ever flown to Europe and you're in economy, it's not good. It's really bad. That was the first time I was ever on a plane, and I'm in economy in Europe, and I was miserable, and I wasn't even taken off yet. We were just sitting there, like it was bad. And the person next to me asked me, because I'm an aisle seat guy, like I got to be on the aisle. No matter what, I'm on the aisle, So
I understand that.
The person next to me said, "Can we change places?" And I was like, "No, I'm sorry. I can't do it." Well, fortunately, my son-in-law, they upgraded my daughter and my son-in-law, and there was a seat right next to him, and they got me that seat. So I got upgraded.
Wow.
And anyway, I didn't have to deal with that at that time, but I had to deal with it again because it happened to me again on another flight. And I had somebody else say, "Hey, can I have the aisle?" And until I was willing to give up the aisle, it kept happening. It happened like 2 or 3 times. And finally, it's like, all right, I guess I have to.
That was a God wink.
And that's what he does. And that's how you grow. That's how your growth.
But this brain resists that. It wants to be right. And so you can keep that aisle seat. Never mind. Stand your ground. We miss the lesson because we don't realize that God is everywhere. There's no place that God would be absent in a universe. We call it a universe in my estimation to make it comfortable for our mind. It has to have some definition. It has no boundaries. It can't be put in a box. And so we live in something, for me, that I don't understand. I cannot comprehend it. And the moment I flatlined in intensive care at the Waltham Hospital on November 18th, 2002, I was again in something the next second that I could not comprehend. It was beyond my comprehension.
Yeah.
There was no past. There was no future. There was only the now. And I don't have this thinker with me. And there was no way to get the message in that moment. It was just the moment. That's it. There's none of this thinking like, where am I? Oh my, this must be God's house. None of that. I was just in pure consciousness. The now, I call it on steroids. But the first recognition I had was immense light and love and grace and mercy. I never felt so loved in my life. And then was the life review. Again, I couldn't remember the first scene. All of a sudden, the next thing is I'm in the life review and only the lives I had touched, only the good I had done. And the next scene was stay or go. And my consciousness surrendered again with thy will be done. Didn't matter. Stay there, come here. And today I wake up here. Okay, I got work to do. Thank you, God. And whatever reaches me, I have to remind myself because this little acorn brain gets active. Things reach me and want to bother me. And the acorn brain goes, "Oh, you don't want to do this now, do you? Why don't you tell them, bug off?"
Right.
And I just say, thank you. If it reached me, it was meant for me. And what misses me, if I don't have something yet, I don't need it yet. That what misses me was never meant to reach me for now. It may be on the way, but it's God's timing. And that has really made a difference in my life. Talk about filling that void. And it led me to doing this work. And I realized what I was missing was gratitude and surrender. I was grateful for things. I knew what my blessings were. I was not as present with everything because I was listening to the acorn brain saying, "Oh, that guy's not good. Oh, do you hear what he just told you? He told you
Right.
you needed to improve this or that or this or that." Hey, you know how the Italians give the here's the reaction to feedback. Hey,
That's right.
I started saying, "Thank you. I'll consider that," because I realized that was God too. Not just in the joy and the happy times, the greatest gifts, I think, and I don't suggest this, that should be everybody follows it, but prove it to yourself that when you start to look at the events that bother us the most, they're actually the greatest gifts. That God is either redirecting us or repositioning us, GPS, or there's something we need to change in ourselves or change in our relationships with others, because this brain wants to be right. And when we get stuck in that, what we forget is we're making everybody on the other side of that wrong.
Yeah. Um, you just have to pay attention that if something keeps happening to you, that there's probably a reason for that.
Why?
If it keeps happening to you, pay attention and say, okay, what would I do different next time? How would I handle that differently? And it'll come again. If you mess it up one time and you go, man, I really blew that situation. Don't worry, it'll come back. You'll get another shot at it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but it's just
what
being
you
tuned in.
resist persists. Where did
Yeah,
that saying come from? Right?
yeah, yeah. And we're all here to figure stuff out.
We are.
There's a lot to figure out. It's a very complicated place we live in, and the people who surround us, everybody's got a different story and comes from a different place, and we just have to be aware. My wife is really good at that. Like she is, when something's going on or somebody's a certain way, she goes, well, maybe they this, or maybe they had a
Mhm.
hard child, or maybe they, and
Uh-huh.
it's true. Maybe they did.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And you just don't know what happened to somebody who you might have just met and they're totally a jerk.
Uh-huh.
You don't know what happened to them that day. You
No.
don't know. Maybe they got some bad news. Maybe they lost a loved one. Maybe you don't know.
No.
And
Well,
so,
and we don't know how they perceive the moment because this brain will tell people it's devastating, it's a tragedy, it's terrible, there's no lesson, the person's an idiot, the person is bad, it loves to judge.
right,
That's not our job.
right. Yeah. So just the awareness of where people are and where they're at. And you just don't know. And so you can't assume. And when you assume, you know what that means. Um, and so you
So
take
how do
everything.
you want to help?
Yeah. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I'm good.
All right. So how do you want to help people in life now? What's your perspective now?
I think, I was telling you, right? I had a coaching session with somebody today who was a new sales candidate that we're looking for a sales rep. And this young
Uh-huh.
guy who uh, applied for the job, he's a professional soccer player.
Uh-huh.
And there was something that just told me that, I know what I need to talk to this guy. From my perspective and recruiting salespeople, it's a lot like playing professional sports.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's so many things that apply,
Uh-huh.
that translate, right?
Uh-huh.
It's the drive, it's the motivation, it's the hard work, it's the commitment, it's, all these things, it's
Uh-huh.
competitiveness, it's
Uh-huh.
tenacity,
Uh-huh.
the things that make a great salesperson
Strategy,
also
right?
strategy.
Strategy in
Yeah.
a sports, right?
All make
Mhm.
great salespeople. Okay.
Mhm.
So when it's funny because, when he put in his resume, it's lean, right? He's a professional soccer player, played in Europe, which tells me that he was a dang good professional soccer player,
Mhm.
like really, really pretty good.
Mhm.
And so I set up a call. He actually reaches out to me on LinkedIn at the same time. He applied, and I said to my HR department, I was like, "Hey, I want to interview this guy," and they're like, "For what position?" And I said, "For sales." Because if you looked at his resume, you wouldn't think that he had what it took to be a salesperson.
Right. Right.
So we were actually on a call today, and where he's at, he's in his 20s and he's still playing professionally. He got injured over in Europe and he came back and he's still playing. He's going to school and getting his degree, and he's doing these things. He's not quite into place to be able to make a commitment to be a salesperson yet. But what we talked about was that. hey, because he was thinking, well, I'll get a sales job. It's 9 to 5, and then I'll go do my soccer stuff. And I said, well, if you went to Europe and you were going to play soccer and you told them you're going to do 9 to 5, what do you think they do? And he said, they put me on a plane and send me back. And I said, well, it's kind of the same thing with sales. This is a professional job, and it takes the same kind of commitment. But anyway, my story, the reason why I'm telling this is, he was so grateful because I was the first one, because he reached out to a lot of people and nobody was willing to help him because they didn't
Mm,
think, I don't, for whatever reason.
mm,
And he was so grateful that I spent a half an hour with him and just helped him to get a different perspective on, what he's doing. I think it's amazing what he's doing. He's playing soccer. He's doing the things he loves, and he's coaching, which is great. He's helping other people, and he wants to be a professional, and so he's on his way now. He
mm,
understands that there's a path to get there, and that's what it's going to take, and that he has to dedicate himself, just like being a professional soccer player. And
mhm.
so for me,
It's great advice.
and
It's great coaching.
the help that I was able to give him, that's everything. Like, that makes my day,
Yeah,
because here I am, I'm able to impact somebody's life. And who knows where that goes? This guy could be the greatest salesperson that ever walked the earth. I don't know,
yeah, yeah.
or he might go on and just coach. You don't know what he's going to do, or
Right,
whatever the path is for him.
right.
My goal is just to help him find that, so if I can
Well,
help
it's
people.
fascinating that you saw the resume and decided to interview him anyway, which is
Yeah,
all that's all guided by life and God and the creator, right? Because you
100%,
2 connected. What were the odds that you would have connected with him?
100%. Yeah.
He had
Yeah.
no sales
100%.
experience, right?
No,
And even your HR department said, "What? You wanna
exactly.
do what?" That's an
For what,
indicator.
yeah, for what position?
Right. Well, that's an indicator. When other
Yeah.
people say, "You wanna help this person?" "What? Why?"
Yeah. Right.
That's an indicator,
Yeah.
right?
Now,
And
ultimately,
that's the GPS.
yeah, we're not going to hire him right now, you
Right.
know,
But you
maybe in,
told him the truth and told
oh
him
yeah.
how to
And
how to how to set up his, uh, profile and how to interview with people, not to say, "I'm looking for a I wanna get in and get out so I can go play soccer."
and that's
Hello,
what
wait a minute.
yeah, he appreciated that the most.
Yeah.
He said,
Yeah.
man, he goes, I really appreciate that you were straight up with me, that
Yeah.
you told me how it was. Cause I told him, I said, you're not ready to do this job. You're not
Yeah.
there yet.
Yeah.
You have, obviously, you have some things to do before you can get to that place. And I gave him some guidance on that. He so much appreciated that I was straight up with him. And I told him, I said, listen, call me anytime. I pick up my phone. If you call me, if I can't answer, I'll tell you and I'll call you back. But I always answer if I can. And he's in my contact list. And if he calls, I'll be happy to take his call.
Yeah. That's great.
But
And he may, right, someday reach out and
I
you
hope
may
so.
yeah, and somewhere along the line, he may call you up and say, "Mike, you're not gonna believe I got this great job thanks to you."
No,
Now, the other thing I notice is you're not attached to that outcome. You just wanted to help him. That's the message that I got the day I flatlined and I was on the other side was, "Let's do good."
some, some of the people who did the most damage are the religious, uh, not just in, uh, not just in history, but in people's lives in general. The religious people, even within congregations, it's pastors, it's, that do serious damage to people and hurt the relationship, hurt the vision of, or the thought of what God is. And it takes a lot of years for people to get through that.
It
There's many
does.
people who've been damaged
It's
within,
true.
and then you look through history, like you said, and there are significant events that have happened, and it's the religious
Yeah,
that did that, right? And
yeah,
in the name of religion,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well,
And
and
it's
what I
still going on today.
Oh, it's still going on, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's part of the human experience because if we didn't have chaos and conflict, we wouldn't know what to learn and how to grow. But I can tell you in my experience, if it sounds small-minded, it didn't come from a creator of a universe. Whatever you call it, just think that a creator of a universe which we don't understand and comprehend. Even with all the physicists having all their super colliders and all the tools they have today, they're still discovering new things. And the discoveries of all the telescopes that are looking out into space, discovering still things every day almost that they're either in wonder about, amazement about, changing their mind. They're saying, whoa, this changes everything. If it's small-minded and comes into your life, you're having a small-minded, angry, chaotic, stressful, sad, depressed reaction, that's not what God intended. God intended you to sit back and find the gift and learn something, find the lesson. Because other than that, why did it bother you?
Yeah.
Anything small-minded didn't come from the creator of a universe. In my experience, I only suggest it. I want people to prove it to themselves. So, Mike, what do you want to say to close this up to people? What do you want to leave people with?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me on. It's an honor and a pleasure, and it's always
No,
great to
I'm
talk
honored.
about this stuff. I can do this for hours. There's
Yeah.
so much to talk about. Um, I
And
would
we have
just,
from time to time.
yeah, yeah. And I would just say to close that just tune in and just add, like, hey, if you're there, just show me who you are.
Mm,
And once he does, then just tune in and follow. Um,
yeah.
and then he helps you to shed off all the bad stuff, the things that you have to deal with, the things that you're working through, the guilt, the bitterness, the anger, all those things. They're all
Could
anchors.
the message come from an unexpected event or an unexpected person?
Sure, always.
Yeah.
Yeah, an event. People have a belief happens, and then their belief gets changed until it affects
Mhm.
them. Then the belief changes in a hurry, right?
Yeah.
You have a
Yeah.
strong belief and it gets changed in a hurry. Look what
Yeah.
happened to you, right?
Yeah.
And it's an
Changed in a
event like
hurry.
that can change your whole mindset.
Yeah.
So it's just about just tuning in to the radio station and following, being obedient to it.
I've
That's it.
had more joy in my life welcoming every event and stopping when my brain, because back in my body, my brain still wants to react to certain people and certain events, but now stopping myself in them and say, wait, God is here.
Yeah.
And there's a gift in this. And that has made so many more moments of my life. I have 8,592 extra days since that day that I was granted a second life. And I'm grateful every day. I wake up here and say, okay, this is a fantastic day. I wonder what God is going to bring my way, what
Yeah.
life will bring my way. And I want to be with it. And then there's moments that this brain tries to take over again and say, oh, how about that, Steve? Is that a gift? Come on. Where's that gift? And I have to calm down and say, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a gift. It'll be there.
Every day's a gift and every day's a new opportunity. If you've
Yeah.
totally blown it today, not and you wake up tomorrow, you got another chance, right?
Yeah.
You've got another opportunity to make it right and to do better
Yeah.
every day. It's day after day, and that's all we have. We just have today.
Yeah.
And so just don't, great sports people are able to compartmentalize when a bad thing happens, right?
True. True.
Some of the greatest have a bad thing. A pitcher somebody hits a home run. They've got to compartmentalize that and go to the next pitch. Same thing with their lives. You wake up and it's the next pitch.
Yeah.
And so no matter what happened before, no matter how many home runs you gave up, you still have the opportunity to strike somebody out or to better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the modern concept is that you've sinned and you'll go to hell. And I ask people in the book, and I ask people when I get to talk with them and they ask me questions, I'll ask them a question of, well, how do you feel when you do good? And people are always saying, well, I feel good. Except one guy kind of sheepishly said, oh, I guess I feel good. But probably it's thousands of people now that I've asked, and everyone says, I feel great when I do good. Yeah. Well, what's the reason for that? Why do you feel so good when you do good? Number one, think about that. Number two, which one of your children would you burn in hell because they made a mistake in this life? And people are aghast by that. So
Yeah.
then my next question is, okay, no, I understand that. I wouldn't either. But then is your love greater than God's? Is that
Well,
your love
the
is
shack
greater than
has,
God's?
yeah, the shack has a scene about that where the father
Yeah,
has to judge his two kids. And that's, wow. Like one of the, yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
everyone I ask that to is like, oh no, I couldn't do that. Well, then what you're suggesting is, or I usually ask it, is what you're suggesting then is your love is greater than God's? That God creating this gift of life didn't have the goal for us to just live it, enjoy it, and learn that falling is part of our experience. Who
Sure.
learned to walk without falling? And if you can't remember, then what about your children or your nephews and nieces? If you didn't have children or your neighbor's children, we all learn to walk by falling over and over. That doesn't end with childhood. It's just
No.
different because it's every time we embrace or step out into something new. And maybe it's the first time you got angry as hell and you fell and you reacted and you regret it. Get over the regret and get up and resolve, hey, I learned something. I'm not going to get that angry ever again. That's the gift of life.
No matter who you are, what you've done, how many, whatever, doesn't matter how many times you've fallen down. It doesn't matter. What it matters is that, well, that, and that he's walking aside of you the whole time for you to have a relationship.
Yeah.
That he walks beside you all the time, no matter how
Yeah.
many bad things, no matter how terrible it seems, he's there for you. Always.
That's how we learn and grow. That's this experience called life. All right. So everyone, thank you, Mike Mirarchi.
My pleasure.
He's not selling anything. He's here to share his experience, which is what he did. You learned a lot about him. He was open and vulnerable and shared things that a lot of people probably wouldn't have. And he talked about the impact of doing good and when he's done good and how he felt about it. And that's what I say. Let's do good. Let's do good and live this life. And the last thought I'll leave you with is go read The God of Spinoza. He wrote it in the 1600s. And it was when Einstein was asked, what's your idea of God? And he would say, go read The God of Spinoza. Now, he also answered it in this way. The superior reasoning power that created this unimaginable universe forms my idea of God. But when he was pressed for time, I imagine, he quickly said, go read The God of Spinoza. Baruch Spinoza, go read it and enjoy this life and look at the mistakes and places you've fallen as lessons and God's gift to help you grow and leave this existence with a lot of learning and growth. And I don't know if we come back, and quite possibly everything gets recycled in this universe quite naturally. Maybe we do. I don't know. I didn't get shown that. But just in case, if you start learning a lot of things and looking at life as learning and you look back on your mistakes and go, hey, what did I learn? Oh, that one I haven't learned yet. It keeps coming back. Okay.
Yeah.
Learn from it and know that you're advancing, and maybe you're advancing in what's next in one of the rooms that God has prepared.
There's a lot of things we don't know. That's for sure.
No, I know very little. But what I did get shown, I don't try to convince anybody. I just share my experience.
Well,
So
that's all.
anyway,
You know what? That's all we can do. The only thing you could do is share your experience.
share our experience.
No matter what.
Yeah.
You cannot. And that's the thing. Like whatever you experience, I can't deny anything. That's your experience. And the same with my experience. You know, the things that I've experienced, those are mine. And I think that if people want to share with each other, you share your experiences. Those are the most important things, because those are the things that are the most powerful.
Yeah.
And those are the things that are undeniable.
Yeah.
Because they're your experience.
Well, and what I say is prove it to yourself. Ask God for guidance, and then look for the guidance coming from the most unlikely places, people, and events that happen in your life, because they're there to wake you up. At least it was for me. Listen, it took a 2x4 for God to wake me up, and I'm hoping I can help you avoid that. And if you have more thoughts about that, you want to read You Miss God on the Way to the Mosque, the Temple, to the Church, How to See God Everywhere, you can get the book on Amazon. And if you want to be a guest and challenge me, I'll give you a book. You can come on on the podcast and ask me all your questions. And remember, I might just say, does that sound like small-minded thinking? I might ask you that.
That would be something.
I hope it happens. I've been for 7 years. No one has taken me up on the challenge yet.
Yeah,
Right? God has a way. God has a way.
Sure.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome, Mike.